Excited, first and foremost, to be here. When we first started New Way Out, our idea and our goal was to start a mental health program that was going to reach students all across the country and to really give them resources and abilities to chime in and to learn about mental health and to help themselves. What we didn't realize is that a pandemic was around the corner. Literally 2 weeks after we started, we kicked everything off. The pandemic started, and it kind of flipped everything that we were wanting to do upside down. And so that's why this event actually is so important to us. And it's kind of the first event, it's the first flagship event that we're having that is going to be taking us into what we hope to do coming into the next fall when everyone's coming back onto campus, when we can actually have real events and real things coming here soon. So, like I said, though, when we started this project, the New Way Out, this nonprofit, our goal was how do we help students, young people that are dealing with mental health issues, that are dealing with everyday issues, I should say. And our our thought was, what if we create really awesome events? What if we create some of the coolest events that help bring resources to students all over? And so that's what this is starting off. This is what we want to do. We're in a process right now. We're on five different universities, and we'd like to do more. So if you know anyone that would like to become an ambassador, we'll be having some links at the end that would, if anyone wanted to get involved and help us do that, it'd be so good. But without further ado, I would like to bring in some of our first speaker for the day, someone that I met about a month or so ago and was absolutely blown away. And not just by our conversation, but blown away by all the things that he's involved in, all the things that he's a part of. One thing is optimizing your mental health, and I'm going to let him actually grow it. I'm going to do a bad job if I if I try to break it down. So I'll let him kind of introduce a little bit more about himself. But one of the very powerful things that, if you look up and you look at Steven Jagger and all the stuff that he's done, is some of his breath work. And I think that's something that we're going to start off with today. So Steven, I'm going to let you start it off. I'm going to let you kick it off. I'm going to probably do a better job at introing than myself. But without any further ado, I'd like to introduce Steven Jagger.
What's up, everyone? Thank you so much, Nick. Yeah, such a pleasure to be here with you all and to share a little. We're going to do a little 10-15 minute breath work exercise that you can do at any time. I usually do longer sessions, hour and a half, but for time's sake, we'll keep it short. But just a little bit about me. I'm actually a neuromuscular therapist. I've helped run injury rehab centers. I've taught kinesiology and anatomy and physiology at naturopathic schools and at different holistic schools in the Southwest. And, I've helped people really fix their posture, align their physical bodies. And we all know like how bad our posture is as a collective, just from all of the technology and everything. And that, in doing that, I really would see people, we'd correct their posture, we'd help them, feel good in their physical body. But a lot of people we would see come back over and over and over again. And realizing how much people's mental states actually affect how their body feels. And we'd fix their body, they'd come back over and over and over again with the same issue recurring. So long story short, I got into different sorts of breathwork therapies to really help people eliminate a lot of the mental stress, a lot of the stuff that people have been holding on to that's really actually taking a toll on how you're showing up in the world, how your posture is showing up in the world, how your physical body, the mind affects the body affects the mind. It goes both ways. Like if you are sitting in a desk all day long, like I was when I was in school, when you're done, your mind is probably not going to be in the greatest state. And if you're if you're having an incredible stressful time mentally, your body is probably not going to feel so good either. You're probably not going to have a lot of energy to work out or do the things that you love to do. So there's plenty of ways to help maintain your physical health, but I have found that breath work specifically, and I'm going to take you through a little exercise, is one of the best and easiest ways to really dial in your mental state, really clear out of a lot of the excess stress, a lot of the stuff that we put on ourselves, or maybe stuff that has been put on us from other people. And also, you're able to really breathe in like how you want to show up in the world and see it clearly, and feel it in your body. And that's really important if you want to I know everyone in here is probably wanting to achieve something, or become somebody, and it's really important to be able to see that and actually feel that in your body. So before we begin, I always like to start out with, what is the number one killer? Anybody have an idea of what the number one killer is? Gonna mute yourself if you want. Shout it out, or I'll just say it. Anybody want to take a guess? Yeah, Nick knows. It's stress. Stress weakens our mind and our body to the point of where we're not able to fight things off. It weakens our immune system. It weakens literally every function in your body. And then you start to create different sort of diseases. So how do we get rid of stress? Or what is stress in general? Stress is pressure. When you're a student, when you are, just operating in this world that we live in, like there is a ton of pressure put on you from all different scenarios. Maybe it's from your parents, maybe it's from school, maybe it's I need to get a job, maybe it's I need to make money. There's so much pressure put on us. And how do we get rid of the pressure? We have to the pressure. We have to express. We have to find ways in our world to express. Some of the most stressed out people in our world have found beautiful ways to express and move that stress through our body. Some of the most stressed out people have created some of the best music, some of the best art, business, all different sorts of creations. So it's really about figuring out your forms of expression, and we need different forms of mental expression, creative expression, physical expression. And if we don't express, then we end up suppressing. And if we suppress, we eventually become depressed until that pressure is built up inside of us. And then we start to create different sort of diseases or all different types of ailments. And maybe we lash out at the people that we love, or it's just building inside of us and we don't really have an outlet. So it's really important to find different ways to express, and just, you may have different forms of expression, such as art, such as working out, such as whatever it is. I think that using breath work as a tool every day to just move that stress, that pressure out of your body and literally inspire and express it out is one of the most powerful tools that I've found. And I've helped thousands of people to really remove a lot of the stress. And then when you remove a lot of the stress, the distractions, the pressure, you're actually able to see clearly. When you clear stuff, when you clear out all the distractions, all the noise, you become clear. And it's really important if you want to accomplish anything in this world, you have to find ways to move all those distractions out of the way. You have to clear out all of those excess stressors if you really want to be able to focus and actually achieve something. So today we are going to go through a little breath work exercise. I'm going to keep it short. I'll answer some questions at the end if any of you guys have any questions or anything. We will get to it. So I'm going to try to keep track of the time. What time do I have until, Nick? Just to know.
You have until, I think you have 10 more minutes.
10 more minutes. Okay.
Oh, wait, I think you might have 15, 10 to 15 minutes.
Okay, 10 to 15 minutes. Okay,
15,
cool.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is I'm going to explain it first, and then we're just going to jump into it. So basically, we're going to do about 10 minutes. 5 of it is going to be, what do you actually want to clear out? What do you actually want to remove? The distractions, the pressure, the stresses, all of the stuff that you've been holding onto. What do you want to clear out? And we're actually going to use the breath to clear it out. And I want to give yourself full on permission. And it's really powerful if if anything starts to come up for you, anything that's coming up is coming up to move through you. Just how I talk the expression, anything that's coming up is coming up to move through you. So it's important to, if you need to make noise, if you need to cry, if you need to scream, if you need to yell, like some of my best releases have been through me just like doing breath work and literally yelling and having a cathartic scream. So, or maybe it's just me needing to hold myself and allow myself to actually feel some of those things that I have suppressed. So whatever's coming up for you, just give yourself full permission to allow yourself to feel it fully, and in that feeling you allow yourself to move it out. So the first 5 minutes we're going to do clearing out. The next 5 minutes I really want you to, and you don't have to even think about it right now, but once you kind of clear that out, what do you actually want to embody? How do you want to show up in the world? What do you want to be? What patterns do you want to bring into your body? We're going to breathe those in. I want you to feel it in every one of your cells. I want you to see it clearly. I want you to see it as if it's already happened. So, and the technique is going to be very easy. It's going to be in through the nose, out through the mouth. You can do it sitting in your chair. You can do it wherever you're at. The big thing is just giving yourself permission to, if anything's coming up, just let it go. Just let it move through you. Feel it and let it move through you. So I'm going to play a little song here. We're going to drop in for about 10 minutes. I'm going to guide you through the whole thing. And basically it's just going to be inhales, inhales through the nose, exhales through the mouth, about that pace. And then halfway through it, I'll let you know. I'm going to guide you through the whole thing. Halfway through it, I'm going to have you breathe in all your air, exhale it all out, breathe in all your air, exhale it all out. And I'm just going to have you hold it. I'm going to lead you through it so you don't have to think about it too much. But in the middle between those, I'm going to have you hold your breath for as long as you can. And you'll be surprised at how long you can actually hold your breath. And really, when you're holding your breath, you will be able to see clearly really how you want to show up in the world. So just make sure you have good posture, sitting up nice and tall in your chair, wherever you're at. I'm going to play some music, and you can definitely close your eyes. This is an inward journey. So we are going to begin. So deep breaths in. Keep going. Everyone join in. Keep going. Deep breaths in. What do you want to clear out? Use the breath. See it clearly. If you need to make some noise, have at it. Let it out. There's no judgment. No one can hear you. You're in your room. Let it out. Keep going. Deep breaths. What weight has been put on you that you don't want to hold on to anymore? Use the breath. Clear it out. What stress have you been storing in your body that you just don't want to carry around anymore? Just let it go, clear it out. Use the breath. You don't have to hold on to it anymore. You have the choice. I want to see all the facilitators doing it too. Let's go. Nick, Jonathan, Luis. What patterns do you want to clear out? Use the breath. Keep going. You got about 5 more minutes. Keep going, guys. You're doing so good. This is not meant to be easy. This is meant to be hard. It's meant to notice yourself. Notice yourself if you want to quit. Notice if yourself if you want to stop. Keep going. Push yourself. What are all the patterns that you've been holding on to in your life, or that maybe you've been acting out? Use the breath, clear it out. Feel it in your body. If there's pain, clear it out. If there's stress, if there's pressure, clear it out. Keep going. 2 more minutes. It's okay to feel tingly. It's okay to feel tingly. Clear it out. Any of the pressure that's been put on you by other people, maybe your parents, maybe your school, maybe whatever it is, use the breath and clear it out. You don't have to hold that onto that anymore. You have the choice. Any of the thoughts that you've been thinking that you don't want to think anymore, clear it out. Use the breath. Keep going. Notice yourself if you want to stop. Keep going. Couple more minutes. That's it. 30 more seconds. 30 more seconds. Give it all you got. Clear it out. You don't have to carry the weight. You don't have to carry the pressure, the armor that you've been holding on to. Keep going. Notice yourself if you want to stop. Keep going. 10 more seconds. That's it. Deep breath in, all your air. Let it all go. Make a sigh, make a sigh. Let it all out. Deep breath in, all your air. Let it all out. Make some noise. Deepest breath in, all your air. Hold this one at the top. Hold it for as long as you can. You should be able to hold it for a while. Hold it for as long as you can. And see it clearly. How do you want to show up in the world? See yourself. What do you want to accomplish? Who do you want to be? See it. Hold it. Feel it in every one of your cells in your body. You get the choice. See it clearly. Hold it. Feel it in every one of your cells as if it has already happened, as if it is happening right now. That's it, you guys, and let it go whenever you're ready. We're gonna do a couple more minutes. We're gonna go back in. One more round. Whatever you saw, whatever came up for you, breathe that in. Breathe that into your body. Feel it in every one of your cells as if it's happening right now. How do you want to show up in the world? Let's go. Pick up the pace a little bit. What patterns do you want to embody? How do you want to show up for yourself? How do you want to show up for your loved ones? How do you want to show up for the people in your life? What do you want to create? Breathe it in. It's all a choice. It's all a choice. See it clearly. Breathe it in. How do you want to feel? Two more minutes. going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Now that you've cleared out all of the stress, all of the pressure, see it clearly. See it clearly. What are your next steps? Clear out all the bullshit, all of the weight. How do you want to show up? What do you want to embody? See it clearly. Breathe it in. One more minute. One more minute. Notice yourself if you want to stop. Keep going. One more minute. One more minute. All right, deep breath in. Let out a nice sigh, maybe a yell. Let it all out, let it all out. Deep breath in. Let it all out. One more. Deep breath in. Let it all out. All your air, let it all out. Hold it on the exhale. Hold it all out. Become empty. Just when you need to take that first deep breath in, breathe in the feeling of gratitude. Gratitude for all that you have, all that you are. What have you taken for granted? Breathe in the feeling of gratitude. Gratitude is the highest place that we can operate from. What are you thankful for? Your friends, your family, maybe the people in this group. Clean food, clean water, clean air. And just notice within your body just how different you feel. That was about 10 minutes. I would love to open up the floor. I know I only got like a minute or two left. I'd love to open up the floor. If anybody has any questions or statements, maybe how you feel after that. If anybody doesn't feel good or if anything came up for you, I'll take one or two. I know, Nick, and if you need to cut me off, go ahead, bro. Yeah, thank you for the messages. Thank you for the messages. Feel more free, feels super enlightening. You know, the breath is the number one way to control your nervous system. Your nervous system is everything. It's the only body rhythm that we do both consciously and unconsciously. Sorry for my video hopping out there, but it's the only body rhythm, like besides, it's the only body rhythm that you do both consciously, like you can think about it. Like I can think about, hey, I'm going to take a breath in. And you also do it unconsciously, where you don't have to think about it and you're still going to breathe. Therefore, it is the bridge between your conscious mind and your subconscious mind. So if you really want to affect your psyche, your mental state, that breath work can just, it will affect your subconscious mind, your psyche more than anything. So yeah, any questions or anything, if you want to write in here. Cleared my mind, calm and collected while shocking how much better I feel. Just 10 minutes. Like, it's insane. We all forget to breathe. Like, we just forget to. We're all holding on. Just it's a stressful world. So just take this little technique with you. 5 minutes. What do you want to clear out? 5 minutes. What do you want to get rid of? Or what do you want to bring in? And yeah, it's an honor to be on here. Reach out to me. My website's steven-jaggers.com. My Instagram is Jaggers. It's my last name, JR. I would love to chat with any of you if you guys have any questions for me, or if I can be of any support in any way, reach out to me.
Thank you, Stephen. Really appreciate it. We're going to continue. So just to touch on, the breath work is so amazing, and so many, when we do it, and what we really hope for us in the future is that we're doing breath work and we're able to go on campus And once things are back open, we have really cool events. We have breath work. Stephen also does cold plunges and ice baths sometimes. We were talking a little bit about that. So anyone that's done any of that, that's also so great for the mind, the body, and everything. So we're going to be really trying to mix things up. But I want to move on to our next speaker. Thank you again, Stephen. That was beautiful. Really love it. Want to move on to our next speaker. 1 second while I pull up his bio here. I just had it in front of me. So I want to introduce him. This is Jonathan Beltrain. He is a pioneer of social media awareness and introduces various new terms such as the triple conscious theory and social media dependency disorder. And he's a part of the National Council of Behavioral Health. So I want to bring him on and follow us up. So without any further ado, I'd like to bring on Jonathan.
Hello, everybody. How you guys doing? My name is Jonathan, and today I will be speaking about the triple conscious theory and social media dependency disorder and what we look to do in the future as far as research and development and how these two terms are not only affecting our everyday life, but where we look to be in the future as we develop the research around it and introduce it to not just universities, but also corporations as we see it influencing our everyday life. And I just wanted to say thank you for allowing me to be here, sharing a little bit of my story and where we're going with this in the near future. So, okay, I have to share my screen. So let me see here. Okay, there you go. All right, okay, can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
All right, okay. Sorry about that. Okay, I don't know what's going on here. I'm sorry, y'all. Okay, it seems like my screen's a little smaller than I thought. Okay, so understanding the social media realm. Sorry. Okay, I apologize, something here. Okay, understanding the social media realm. For many people, you may be wondering, well, how does social media affect our everyday lives? Well, one thing we've learned is that we realize that in the social media realm, we lose the identity of self. So years ago, we created what we call the triple conscious theory to address how social media users are impacted, as well as understanding what we call the social media persona, which is our dominant persona of our generation. And in 2019, we developed a chart which introduced what we called mixed reality, which is the old reality, introducing the public and media to self to media. Now, we're used to the interactions of meeting in person, having conversations, and allowing ourselves to build a persona face-to-face. Well, in the new world, metadata reality via the computer, we realized that we no longer have the identity of self in the real world. And our social media persona is dominating the landscape as we know it today. Now, our research has identified that the social media persona is a driving persona of this generation in the 21st century. Now, you may be wondering, well, what is the social media persona? The social media persona is the persona developed in the online world using various platforms, whether verbal or messaging, transmitted. This new persona is helping us identify not just market traits, habits, positive and negative interactions in this space, but also understanding the human element in the online space, which is vital, as you see, as algorithms grow and many other things interact with us and how we interact with them. Now, for the social media persona, we see what exactly is developing: a new ideology, a new perspective based on post and online interactions, as well as emotional exposure, which excels our emotional behavior and introduction to trauma in the online space. We also see that there's a big disconnect with the ideal self, meaning that what used to be in the online space of learning, growing, and development based on interaction and trial and error, we're learning that based off posts, likes, and comments, our reality is skewed, cultivating a new type of persona that wouldn't once be there based on influence. Sorry, okay. And what we've learned is that for majority of the users who are older and to older adults, we've learned that the change in behavior and patterns are subject to how we interact. And we've also learned too that in this space, when you use social media, we're supposed to be posting responsibly and using it to better our lives. but we've seen that it's become a great distraction. And in our efforts to push this research, we want to bring what we call social media awareness to the forefront. And what we also found out too in ways to cope with social media dependency and the triple conscious theory is to not just follow the meditation process and sitting back and relaxing, but also realizing that what we're witnessing in this space converts us into better people as users. Now, some of the things and habits that we're realizing to help us better understand with mental health well-being in the online space is setting boundaries. How many of us have realized that in the social media space, we don't set enough boundaries? Opening us up to arguments, conversations, and based on our political views, beliefs, and backgrounds, we lose the identity of self. We've also learned practicing mindfulness, meaning that before you post, remember, be mindful of what you're saying because it could affect someone else in the long term. Now, affirmations. What we've also learned is that with affirmations, talking to self reminds us of who we are becoming in the online world and realizing that when we interact, we don't lose I, me, in the online space is us. Now, when asking for support, it's not a bad thing. Remember, family and friends and community are key to building. And also in the online space, places that you visit, whether it's a community in Clubhouse, whether it's a chat room on Facebook, people can watch, see, and observe. And over time, that builds who you are in the online space. And also learning to check your mental health. And remember, nothing is wrong with checking mental health. There's a stigma that I've learned in 2017 when I was at National Council that the stigma of social media is negative. But one thing I've learned dealing with past trauma is that you unlock who you really are as you grow and develop and conquer those fears and traumas. And one of the biggest things I've also learned in the process is connecting with others. Now, one thing you may also learn is that in the online space, people are more concerned about direct messaging, instant messaging, or video calling, when we may live in the same city, same state, or even better, in the same house. And the whole point of this is to reconnect the family dynamic, and not only reconnecting us, but also allowing us to check ourselves and at the same time, avoiding a lot of confrontations that may come up in the long run. Now, this is just a little milestone of what we've been able to do over the past 10 years, such as creating social media awareness in 2010, and then also in 2014, introducing the social networking effect, introducing the Post Responsibly campaign, and then also in 2015, creating the triple conscious theory and social media dependency disorder, and introducing this at the National Council of Behavioral Health in 2017, realizing that this is not just a in-home conversation, this is not just a city conversation, this is a national conversation that needs to be had. And this is why organizations such as the one we're joining today is doing what we're doing, is to remind you that what you say online, what you do online does not control us and who we are, but it's only developing. And learning these triggers and learning the mechanisms that will allow us to identify self in the online world will allow us to grow in the real world as we see today. And for many individuals, remember, one post can change the mind and one comment can change a generation. And all we ask is that, remember, next time you post, post responsibly. And now you may be wondering, how can I join the social media awareness community? Post responsibly, see something, say something, and don't forget the common touch. And when I say don't forget the common touch, remember, we are human at the end of the day. And human interaction is more important than a post, more important than a like. And you can't put a monetary value to understanding someone in a face-to-face matter, or hearing a voice, hearing an interaction, and having that connection of emotion, which is key. And having my own experiences dealing with cyberbullying and more, I've learned that a lot of this new generation misses that understanding and misses that yearning for who we are and who you are. Now, if you would like to learn more about what we do, we wrote a book called The Theoretical Framework for Social Media Dependency Disorder, And you can visit us at socialmediaawareness.org for more information. And if you have any questions about the triple conscious theory, social media dependency disorder, please tell us, what is your story? How has social media affected you, and how has it changed your life? And what brought you to hear me today and others talk about mental health well-being, whether it's in the real world or the online space? Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? Can everyone hear me? Oh, okay. Does anyone have any questions, everybody?
Any questions?
Anyone have any questions?
Well, oh, sorry.
No problem.
Not sure. Well, if anyone does have questions, what can you say one more time the best way to reach out to you? Do you have an Instagram, Facebook, or anything like that as well?
Yeah. So the best way to reach me is reaching me at my actual name, legal name, Jonathan N. Bertrand, on Instagram, or you can also reach me at my email, Jonathan, JONATHAN, at socialmediaawareness.org. And you can email me your story, how has social media impacted you, whether you're a college student, because I was once a college student who dealt with social media during that time frame, and how you see this helping you in the near future, and how you can grow and develop by understanding your social media persona.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Jonathan. I really appreciate it. It's been so. One of the biggest deals, and I should have probably prefaced this before I even brought you on, is that, you know, one of the biggest aspects of what New Way Out, and one of the things that we're really trying to focus on, is social media. And how do we handle social media in this generation? What are the best practices? What are the best things that we can do? Because if you look at just the numbers, and you look at, you know, and you touch on a little, is this the skyrocketing of depression, anxiety, suicide, just in the last couple of years. And you can contribute a lot to what's happening online. You can contribute a lot of what we're seeing right now to the online culture. And it's our generation that's going to have to pick up the mantle and pick up what is going on. And we could set right now, while we're in college, while we're here, the parameters, set the tone, set how and which way we're going to move forward with social media, and how it's going to affect our mental health. And that's the biggest key right there, is how do we make sure that we create an atmosphere, create a platforms? You know, how do we do things that are not sucking us dry of everything inside, right? How do we do things? And if it's breath work, if it's working with Steven, if it's doing little things, if it's learning, taking stuff from Jonathan here about creating best practices, but also taking outside and doing some things that are focused solely on your mental health, right? There has been for so long just kind of I think a blindness to what we do. There's not been a very conscious effort about social media, a conscious effort about even our own personal health. And so I think that it's our generation, it's our time right now to kind of change it and flip the script on how we think about things and how we approach things in general. And that's going to be kind of the number one mission of New Way Out, is how do we change, how do we flip the script? How do we change the way people think about how they live their lives, how they take on mental health, how they take on social media, and how that affects their life. And we'll even dive into food. We'll dive into how you spend your money, all sorts of different practices that we want to do for the future. So Jonathan, Steven, I hope you guys come back with us. I hope you guys join us. Yeah.
Well, and other thing is too, just to add on to what you just said, that you're doing it now. You're connecting with individuals. And remember, people don't realize that in this generation, we're all about competition. And I could have easily looked at your information online and been like, why would I do this? You know, I'm the one. But I said, no, you know, this is all about growth and development, because now I know who you guys are. And on top of that, no one's heard of social media awareness if you aren't actually into what, you know, we do here. So, you know, like I said before, the whole point of research is to develop, expand, and find individuals and introduce, because this could be just a conversation, But eventually, once things open up again, we can come to your university, and I could work with individuals at your university that are specifically studying the social media persona, which would be groundbreaking in the least of parts, but it's not being talked about. So the whole point of this is to put a name to a problem, because that's something that we have not seen since the beginning of social media, like the drug and alcohol stuff that used to happen in the 90s. The tobacco company had to create their own campaigns to actually advocate against their own stuff, which was in the billions. And what we're seeing now is there's no awareness. And it took my company 5 years and a lot of travel, a lot of development and finding people to say, hey, there needs to be an awareness on social media. And it takes our generation to actually put our foot down and say, hey, whether it's 20 people in a group, whether it's 6 people in a group, it's starting the conversation. And whether it's 15 minutes, whether it's an hour, these things, any one of us in this group may be the next who can start pushing that forward. And if I can assist in any way beyond just a Zoom call, please let me know. And thank you for the opportunity.
Absolutely. And we love it. We absolutely love it. And it is huge. And you're right. The moment is now for us to really make a difference. And social media, guys, I hate to break it to us, but it's only going to get bigger. It's only getting stronger. The tech companies are only getting more money. And so we have to, it's so imperative on us all to do everything in our power to gain tools and gain the stuff that we need to help us protect ourselves mentally from a lot of this stuff. One thing that, New Way Out really wants to really emphasize on is that, a lot of people spend, going to the gym, going to go work out at 24-hour fitness, Lifetime, LA Fitness, whatever it is, not a big deal. Everyone's like, oh, you're going to the gym? No big deal. When you say, hey, I'm going to go work on my mental health, I'm going to go work on my other brain, my brain muscle, it's kind of like, oh, there must be something wrong with you. No, there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with trying to focus on your mental health and trying to better yourself. There's nothing wrong with trying to make the headspace where everything happens better. And there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, the things that I'm putting in my body from social media, from TV, the programs I'm watching, everything, there needs to be some moderation. There needs to be something that's more healthier that I'm doing to come into my life. So yeah, with that, I just want to again say thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, Stephen. So we were actually going to have one more speaker on today, but there's a little technical difficulties. He's traveling right now and doesn't look like it's able to connect. So we're going to probably end things a little bit early. So again, just want to thank everyone for coming. We have Luis. You have a raffle, right?
We have I think Richard may have been able to join.
Oh, Richard, did Richard come on?
Yeah, let's see.
I thought we lost Richard here. Is Richard on?
No, he just hopped on.
Richard, I thought we lost you. Okay. So actually we do have one more speaker. So I want to introduce him real quick. And he'll be our last speaker, and then we'll have Luis do our raffle. 1 second here. So Richard Grannon specializes in helping clients overcome emotional abuse, dealing with narcissism, narcissistic personality types. He trains others to stop being people pleasers and to learn, assert, and sovereignty. So I'm going to let Richard go on. We're running a little bit behind, but I'm going to let Richard, you have the floor. Oh, I think you're muted right now.
Can you hear me now?
Perfect. Yes.
So yeah, well, I mean, if you need me to fill in time, I'm more than happy to do that. Perfectly happy to listen to the sound of my own voice go on and on. Yeah, so I do. I help people recover from emotionally abusive relationships, whether that's in adulthood or in childhood. A lot of mental health issues that we face are obviously they're rooted in childhood environment. So I do my best to help people through that.
Beautiful. We were just discussing here a lot of just about mental health techniques. We started off with the breath exercise. Jonathan broke down a little bit about the social dilemma or social media issues that we're dealing with and some of the practices. What do you think are some of the best, I would say, best practices and just keeping your mental health in a good state, especially for college students right now that are really dealing with, finals are coming up, a lot of big testing and stuff are around the corner from us. What do you think are some of the best ways to keep our mental health in the best state of mind?
I think it's a good idea for psychology to look back to its roots, which were ultimately in philosophy. So when we're looking at issues like stress and pressure, what I encourage my clients to do, and I think it would be useful for your students watching as well, is where do you place what's going on philosophically? How do you look at this in terms of the overall direction of your life, the meaning of your life? If you can have the proper perspective on the situations and stresses you face, it can do an awful lot to diminish the stress and an awful lot to diminish the mental health issues that come with it. Because very often what we say are mental health issues, they're kind of maladaptive coping strategies for anxiety, for depression, for stress, and they show up as OCD, or they show up as, I don't know, anger management issues. And actually it's an emotional dysregulation that's rooted in the fact that we don't really know why we're doing what we're doing, which is a real challenge for students now, because they're just, the coordinates for everything culturally are very confused, very confusing. We're being bombarded with a huge amount of information. Your students have my sympathy. I don't seem to be able to hear you.
Sorry, there we go. All right.
That's okay.
Especially with COVID going on right now, I was saying is everything that's happening this is definitely and when it comes to mental health, I think this is one of the craziest times, one of the most stressful times.
Yeah.
I kind of screwed up your bio and a little bit about you. So I was going to say, will you go back and just kind of tell us a little bit more, or tell us a little bit what you've been working on, some of the things that you're currently working on, and
sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Bio. I graduated with a degree in psychology. I briefly worked in the probation service, and then I moved into education. I worked in the British education system for 5 years, teaching students how to learn, how to deal with the stress of their exams, how to make exams easier, memory techniques, teaching teachers how to teach, teaching parents how to support their kids through the education process. I then started teaching self-defense for about 10 years, and I combined psychology with self-defense. And then that led over time to teaching people the psychological self-defense required from emotional predators. So where there was no physical threat, but where people were showing up with a whole raft of physical and mental problems as a result of emotional abuse. And that's what I've been at for about 7 years. And then recently I've gone back to looking more at integrating like a philosophical perspective into the psychology work, just so that the reason being is I really want to help people to be more resilient. I want to help people to be able to figure things out for themselves, rather than generate like a codependent relationship with psychotherapy or a psychotherapist, or with psychiatric drugs or anything. You know, I'd like to look at it again and go, oh, well, when we say somebody's grieving or they're sad, is that really a mental health issue? Or maybe that's just part of being human. That's just part of life. So that's a very fast version of my bio, mercifully fast. You're muted again, sir.
Perfect. Sorry, I keep on forgetting the mute button. So one of the very first ways that we discovered you, and Jose pulled you up, is that you were working on a documentary that was on YouTube. Can you talk to us a little bit? It was plugged in, correct? Can you like tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah.
How you got involved in it, and if
Sure.
kind of maybe give a pitch, so if anyone that hasn't seen it on here could go check it out.
Absolutely. It starts with a very, very simple premise. Instagram, very, very bad. The premise for the documentary, it came out like 18 months before Social Dilemma did. Social Dilemma is an excellent documentary. I heard you reference it before. And I wanted to explore, it was originally, I wanted to look at the suicide rates amongst adolescents that had really gone up. And when I started to review the published research on that, social media kept on coming up again and again as a factor, especially if you were looking at research papers written after 2013. And we originally had a different documentary with a different name, and the first sort of 10 minutes of it was already shot. And I had to go back to the director and say, this is not the documentary we need to be making. We need to be talking about the effect of social media, because not for my generation, and probably not as much for you, sir, but for the people younger than us who are in their who are students, who, between the age of 15 and 24, they'll be carrying the tech in their pocket 24/7, and they'll be looking nervously at the screen between 8 to 12 hours a day. So it's really like being in an abusive relationship. Effectively, the person's there with you all the time. It's not a person; it's a black screen. And these social media platforms have done a fantastic job, because they've chucked billions of dollars into the research of keeping people hooked, keeping people addicted, and keeping people conditioned to using the apps. Now, for a Generation X like me, that works to a degree, but not too much, because I'm not a digital native. For you, it would work a little bit better, but not so much, because you weren't a child with a phone in your hand. You weren't a very young child with a phone in your hand. And then as you go younger and younger, it gets more and more dangerous, because you have this perfect storm where the tech has become more aggressive in capturing attention as the people using it have gotten younger and younger and younger. And it's like taking a very powerful, purified drug that really was for numb adults and giving it to very, very young children. And the effect has been, well, deleterious. Mental health issues amongst the age range that you're dealing with is through the roof. There's nothing like it. Really, you could say it's a pandemic. It really is a pandemic at this point.
Where do you think the future lies? And when I say that is like, do you think, what is in future also solution? Do you think there is? Do you think there is is it going to be a personal responsibility deal, or is it something that the tech companies are going to have to do? Where do you think this all ends up?
Well, when I eventually take over in my benign dictatorship, we will stop all this.
Okay.
And we will just you won't have a choice. It's really tricky, because, well, why would the tech companies stop? They're doing their job, and this is capitalism. This is what you do. You win the game when you make more money, and you make more money when you have more eyeballs on the screen. Government is slow to stop these things. You've seen the the hearings with Zuckerberg, and there's like you don't call them ministers. What do you call them in America? What are they?
Senators, congressmen.
Senators. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry. Ministers, senators, and they were asking questions like, well, when you get on the Facebook and you send the email, can you read the email on the Facebook? And Zuckerberg's going, Senator, no, we can't do, we don't do that. But that just shows you, there's this generational gap. Plus, government is slow anyway. Of course, it's a huge lumbering bureaucracy, more so even in America because of the sheer scale of population in the UK. But not that the UK has done any better in responding any faster to this. And there really isn't a political will to do anything about it, because, well, quite frankly, there isn't any money in stopping this. The money is in letting it go. And it's a really, really difficult situation where, all joking aside, it really would take something to generate a full stop on this, because it will be very, very painful for everyone. Social media will suffer. Governmental bodies will be put under tremendous amounts of pressure, and the users, especially the young users, would be like heroin addicts being dropped into a cold turkey state overnight. It'd be very, very hard. So nobody wants it. It's just the people on the outside, people like me, who've read the research, don't anybody watching this, please don't let them fool you, because I've seen various medical bodies come out and say, oh, the research is not conclusive. Nonsense. You're all students. Go and read it for yourselves. There's 15 papers just on Instagram alone that directly correlate very, very, very vicious mental health issues to do with self-image and Instagram usage, particularly, especially for girls. Especially for girls, they're very susceptible to this, and it has an awful effect immediately. So there's no doubt across the board that this is having a negative effect. But who would be the person, you'd need a crazy dictator to just go, okay, understand you really like this thing, but we're going to limit your use of it. And that's how I think you'd have to do it. You'd have to taper it off, and you'd have to say to people, I know it seems like the thing you want to do, but what you're hungering for is authentic human connection, and you're not getting that through your phone. You're getting a very, very third grade simulation, replacement of human connection. And that's why it sucks. You don't feel good because you're thirsting for a thing, and then you're drinking like a simulated drink, a virtual reality drink. And you're like, oh, I'm so thirsty. Well, yeah, because you didn't actually drink anything. You got the false impression of drinking something without it. So where will it go? I mean, it depends on where our world is moving very, very quickly at the moment. And I think it depends on where we move to next technologically, economically, and politically. And I think many of these issues will be resolved within the next 4 to 5 years, just because we're seeing this kind of acceleration right now.
Beautiful. Yeah. And it's interesting, you know, you're right. It was watching the Zuckerberg and them, the interview, a lot of them just, you know, our leaders are just so clueless to a lot of the tech issues and what's happening. And so it kind of sounds to me like you're suggesting in a lot of ways, a lot of this is going to have to come on to personal responsibility. You're right. Like tech companies, they're not going to want to lose their money. Our leaders don't necessarily know what's going on. And so a lot of this is going to have to come on to how we deal with it. Do you have any suggestions, any techniques for someone that, you know, loves Instagram, that is on Instagram constantly and it's affecting them? What do you think is a good tool? What is a good way to break away to, you said, limiting our social media? Do you have any techniques, anything that you would suggest? What is, other than just go outside? I mean, what is a good way to limit ourselves?
I think it's seeing it in the proper perspective. And, you know, I use Instagram. I just got on TikTok last week because it's part of my model of how I acquire followers. And I had a video blow up yesterday. It got 45,000 views in 20 hours. And the serotonin release, the endorphin release is real. Yeah. It's like, and then I was checking my phone. I'm 43. This is an app for teenagers to do dances on. But I did this video about psychology and everybody loved it. And I was like, wow. And I felt different feelings. I felt myself anxiously looking at, like, how many numbers is it? Ooh, the number, and I'm looking at glowing pixels. It's like, ooh, the number went from, you know, 15,000 to 16,000. And I felt a rush. I struggled to sleep. And I think, like, if that has that effect on me, who's using it in this really jaded, you know, like a middle-aged way, I just think, God, if you're 18, this is a very addictive sugar. Now, if we look at it and we say, okay, what is this doing to me? And how do I feel? Does it feel good? Actually, no, I feel agitated. So one technique would be to tune in somatically to what's going on in the body and to try and be emotionally literate and to just be like, how do I feel right now? Does this feel good? It's a buzz and I'm excited, but I'm also anxious and I'm a little bit agitated. You know, if you're rocking and checking your phone and twitching and, you know, these are not signs of calm, centered sanity. This is the sign of being antagonized, of being provoked. So for me, it was what it has had to be is a case of saying, if I just say to people, don't use your phones, that's not going to work. But if I said to people, take the time to tune into your own body. I'm not saying don't use the phone. That's an unreasonable request at this point. I mean, where I'm using a phone to talk to you guys right now. It's an unreasonable request, but do take the time to enjoy things other than the phone. So why do we addicted to the phone? Because it's pleasurable. Is there any pleasure outside? Anything? Do you get pleasure from hanging out with your mates and talking to them? And everybody in the chat will be like, yeah, we do. We share memes. We sit there and show each other funny TikToks. So if you can, is there a sport? Do you have a craft? Are you into martial arts? Do you perform? You'll have people here who are into music and making music and acting, dancing, anything that you can do that doesn't involve you looking into this screen, because it's capturing so much of your time and so much of your attention. And these resources are so precious and you don't get them back. There's no refunds. Money, you make money, you lose money, you can make more. Time, no one can buy time. It's impossible. Attention, nobody can buy the quality of attention, gratitude, and appreciation that you have. So it's that philosophical shift I'd encourage. I don't want to be a downer and be like, oh, just get off your phones, kids. And they'll be like, okay, boomer, and then not do it. So what else can we do that's pleasurable and that allows us to connect? And what are we thirsting for? I think we're thirsting to connect. We're thirsting to be seen. We want to laugh. We want to have a shared experience. All perfectly valid, totally valid. Let's take the shame out of it. But let's just say, okay, are there other ways that we can do this that don't massively monetize multi-billionaires in China or Silicon Valley? I think that's a reasonable thing to ask.
Yeah, I absolutely. And, you know, it's the funniest thing is that I think I got this from a social dilemma, is that we all think that what we're doing when we get on social media, when we're doing this stuff, it's free. It's not free. You know, none of this stuff is free. Your information is getting taken, your time, there's something that you're giving for all this stuff.
Absolutely.
So yeah, and you know, it's that's what we're going to really try and do for New Way Out, is really trying to create more events and trying to find ways for people to find different ways to connect. And I think you're 100% right when you say that everyone's just trying to find a different way of connecting, just trying to find a different way. And so let this be the last question. I'll let you have any closing stuff, but you know, we, as you know, a lot of the students are coming out of basically a year of doing all of our learning online. Everything has been virtual. Our textbooks are now virtual. Everything that we're doing. And so I think though, we're finally starting to see a little hope at the end of the tunnel. The vaccines are coming out. I think UC Riverside just announced that they're going to do some graduation. They're going to allow students to actually walk a little bit, which didn't happen last year. And then in fall, they're going to, I don't know if that's true, Luis. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. I don't know if that's true or not, but I know some schools, they're allowing
comments redacted.
Is that I know that they're allowing things to start reopening. And so do you have any last advice, just when the world opens again, what should we be doing? How do we get back and to be living a really great life, you know, that's maybe backing away? I know you said some stuff, but what are some like life skill or anything that you suggest of us coming back out into the world? How should we approach this new era that we're entering now?
With great gratitude and appreciation. I mean, you're in California there, aren't you?
Yes. Yeah.
My sister lives in California, and I did manage to travel during the pandemic to go and see her and her babies in North County near San Diego. And we went to LA, we went to San Diego and North County. It's so beautiful there. I mean, it's just looking at your background there, it's fantastic. When the freedom is returned and we can see each other and we can be with each other, let's see each other and be with each other. Let's put the phones down. You don't have to record everything. You don't, we've all learned to think like if it's not on the internet, it's not happening. It is happening. Reality is more important than cyberspace. And I actually think this will happen quite naturally. We've been pushed, myself included. I checked my screen time week on week, and during the pandemic, it was just going up and up and up because I got so lazy. I wasn't even opening my laptop. If I wanted to work, I just go, oh, I'll do it on my phone. It's the direction we're all corralled in. So once we've got our freedoms back, I think the easiest way to sell our own brains, our own nervous systems on doing something, you could try the Jordan Peterson route of being like, well, just be bloody disciplined. Well, okay, we can try that and that's good. But we're pleasure-focused creatures, so let's enjoy it. Let's enjoy the freedom. Let's enjoy nature. Let's enjoy being out in the sun, and let's enjoy being in contact with each other again. Because the terrible thing about what we've just lived through is, you know, the alienation from each other. It's so psychologically damaging. It's so painful, and especially for young people, you should be with each other. You should be mingling with each other, talking to each other, interacting with each other every day, and when you can do it, just love it, just really appreciate it. And I would hope you won't be reaching for the phone as much, because if your anxiety levels are down and your serotonin levels are up, you can just be in the moment and enjoy it.
Love it. Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the major message, is we can lower it down when we come back and just be so grateful for when the world reopens and everything's back together. And just put our phones down a little bit and let's connect to each other the old fashioned way, you know, and really get to experience this world.
Yes. Yeah. Without without the screen, it doesn't need to be seen through a screen. The the HD quality on reality is really high. So just put the phone down and enjoy it. But you can enjoy consciously. You can deliberately say, okay, I'm here with my friends. I'm getting some sun on my skin. This is a pretty cool moment. Should I film it? No, just be there. Just really be there, absorb it, enjoy it, appreciate it. And this is a better approach to living our lives, I think.
Beautiful. And I want to end it on that, because I think that's the best way to end it is everyone, let's just be there. Let's be present. When we were doing our breathing exercise when we started off, is being conscious and being present in this moment and understanding how grateful we are. So, Richard, do you have any last, anywhere we can reach you at? Is there somewhere where students can come check you out?
Yeah, check me out on my new TikTok. It's blowing up right now. I've got the best place like for longer form instructional stuff if you want help with mental health techniques. I'm on YouTube. I run a bunch of YouTube channels, but if you particularly want mental health techniques, I have a YouTube channel dedicated to that that's called Fortress Mental Health. My name is Richard Grannon, and if you go and search there, there's tutorials that are without psychoanalytic sort of word salad, and say it's very, very down to earth practical tips that anybody can pick up.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Richard. That wraps up basically our presentation for today. Luis, did you have any last words that you wanted to say?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, first things first, I want to give a huge shout out to Jonathan, Richard, and Stephen as well for being able to come on the call and make sure that some of the students are better informed as to some of the tendencies that are going on with mental health. Hopefully this won't be the last time we're able to have an event, and I'm confident we'll be able to meet hopefully in the months to come in person, fingers crossed, with the vaccination going administered. So hopefully we'll be able to meet again. But huge shout out to Jonathan and Richard, Stephen, and then also Nick as well for being able to help with some of the facilitation. So thank you all again. For the folks that are on the call and that want to enter the raffle, I'm actually going to have the Google form that I just entered in the chat. So if you want to go and enter into the Target gift card raffle, just go ahead and enter your first, last name, student ID, and your email. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Finish your thing. I have one more thing I was going to say.
And then I'll be able to contact y'all via email, and I'll be able to let y'all know who the winners are of today's raffle. But again, huge shout out to the folks that were able to come today, and a huge shout out as well to the students that were able to come on and get some of the wisdom that was given on this call. So thank y'all.
Yeah, and this will be the last one, is just thank you guys again for everything. We're trying to really grow out New Way Out and create chapters all across the country. So if you have friends that go to universities, anywhere that would love to really change the way we approach mental health in this country, have them reach out to us. We have a ambassador packet, a link to our website. I think it's somewhere in the chat area. Also our just an overall of how New Way Out is breaking down, our approach, our action plan going into the fall, everything that we plan on doing. We have 2 different packets. So come check us out, go to our website. Ask Luis. Luis is super involved. Luis, thank you again so much for helping us with this. Jose is somewhere in here. Ask Jose. We really want to change the message here. So love for everyone to join. And thank you guys all again for coming out and helping us out tonight. So thank you again. And thank you to our speakers.
Cheers.